A peek inside the mind of a first gen. Life was so simple back then, or was it? I guess I heard, tú no sabes lo que es sufrir realmente, enough times that I believed it until I didn't. My parents say that when I was a baby, they lived where there was drive-bys many nights. I can't imagine being new parents needing to lay down on the ground to not be hit. But knowing now that your first 5 years are crucial, I wonder what that did to me too. I don't have many memories from my childhood. Ay, eso es normal, nadie de nosotros nos acordamos, is what I was told. I chose not to respond, but I have heard that not having many memories is due to trauma. Que trauma ni que trauma, tú lo tuviste todo. During an inner child healing session, the healer told me to ask Spirit what memories were attached to my binge eating. I was transported to the second home I lived in East LA. My inner child was hiding in a corner eating snacks. Is she hungry? The healer said. I don't think so, I told her. Then why is she eating so fast and so much? She needs a hug, I answered. She's holding a backpack, I said. What's in it? The healer asked. Rocks, I told her. As I took each one out, I got glimpses of memories I had forgotten, things I had glossed over because of the infamous, no tienes nada de que estar triste tú. My padrino's daughter is 8 years older than me. Ustedes nos sacaron de una depresión, my padrino always tells me. Cuando llegaron a nuestras vidas para ser sus babysitters, nos habíamos enterado que nuestra hija ya no iba a poder caminar. That was one of the rocks. A memory of my madrina helping her daughter shower and her falling on the floor. My madrina started screaming. I was little. She couldn't pick her up, so I tried to help her. But this wasn't my tragedy, so no one ever sat me down and talked to me about how this might have been hard to witness as a little girl, or how I would continue to witness hard things with them. Tú siempre has sido bien madura. Rock number 2. A knowing that my family wasn't welcome in this country. My home was a base, my parents the helpers. They worked a lot and really hard to help bring their siblings to this country and give them a better chance at life. So there was many times where I met new uncles, aunts, and cousins. They would work at grocery stores and tienditas, and when one of them got a car, he would take us to school at the speed limit or less because he was terrified of his car being taken away. A lot of kids lived with us. That was fun, but I was the oldest. Acuérdate que tú estás en cargo, Priscila. Eres la más grande. I was 8. I won't lie, I never had to change a diaper or make food for us, but I do remember being held responsible or questioned if something happened. Parentified. We've talked about this on this podcast. I was a translator not only in my parents' house, but my padrino's house too. Hablan inglés, tú contéstales. A ver, Pila, ven para acá, que dice esta carta. Rock number 3. Knowing enough to be needed, but then getting regañada if I corrected their English. Papá, te estás quedando dormido. During busy seasons, my parents worked until 1, 2 a.m. and had a 30-minute commute. And I was always in the front seat, alert, ready to wake up my dad if I saw him close his eyes. Hypervigilance, rock number 4, 5, I don't know. Let's just stop counting. I don't remember ever feeling sad and wanting to come home to tell my mom or dad. My emotions have never been held for longer than 5 minutes in my family before we needed to move on, so I learned to manage them alone. I guess we can call that hyper-independence, right? Can you blame me? I don't. There was good times though. Christmases were like from out of the movies. So many people at our house, a sala full of regalos, good food, and lots of laughter. Nostalgia. When I started my healing journey, all I could feel was resentment. But as I've been healing and gotten older, nostalgia entered the chat. To think that some of those times really were the good times and I'll never get to live them again. Especially now that I'm in my 30s, it's like a switch turned on and I find myself missing certain things, even though I know they weren't perfect. I imagine that happens to our parents, tías, tíos too. Ay, cómo extraño a tu abuelita. I always had the urge to say, ¿cómo que la extrañas y te decía cosas feas? But now I think I get it. Life really does pass by fast. And sometimes the things you are at war with dissolve so fast that you start to miss them. I don't speak to most of my family members anymore. This transition was quite anticlimactic, actually. My parents got divorced when I was in my 20s, and my dad's side of the family figured I wouldn't want to speak to them. They weren't wrong. Being a part of a family like theirs feels like being in a spider web, where secretos and engaños stay trapped. Te voy a decir algo, pero no le cuentes a... Fill in the blank with whichever name you please. Whatever came next was never good. Now knowing that I'm an empath, I realize why so many of my family members felt comfortable opening up, telling me their secrets ever since I was young. I never asked, they always just talked. My younger sister was shy and my parents were always busy, so I felt like I had to be the light-hearted entertainer, always ready to help or make you smile. Ah yes, people pleasing. I'm surprised you didn't come into this story sooner. And because of my quote-unquote madurez, I was put in the middle of situations that I should have never been a part of. Necesito que hables con tu tío que está mal y haciendo cosas que no debe, a ver si a ti te hace caso. A ver, Priscila, tu tía te quiere pedir un favor. Quiere que hables con su hija para ver si ella sí te cuenta a ti lo que está pasando. Madura. Madura just meant that I always stomached my discomfort in the name of being what others needed of me. Y eso que whenever I would question something, my dad would always answer, "Tú estás chiquita, no sabes nada." When I was entering my teenage years, my grandma developed Alzheimer's and dementia. Caregiver. Although I had experienced needing to tend to someone else's potential needs with my padrino's daughter, I hadn't experienced it with my immediate family. Cleaning up spit, changing adult diapers, a catheter tube, really humbles you. Terrified by the idea of one day needing to be taken care of in that way. When I was 17, a friend of mine passed away. He was 18. I remember writing a poem that I have since then lost, but it said something like, "What is the purpose of this spectrum of experiences? My grandma, who lived a full life, has no memory of it, and my friend, who had a short life, did not have to experience forgetting it." I was already in college at the age of 17. In addition to growing up quickly because I was a first-gen eldest daughter, I also skipped kindergarten. I graduated high school when I was 16 and lived my full first year of college being 17. The rhythm of my parents' life was always fast, so I seamlessly stayed living in survival mode. It's not like at that time I knew I could live any other way. Maybe one day I'll tell you everything that happened in my life. But for today, I just wanted to give you a peek inside my first-gen mind. Hola, first-gen. I hope that you enjoyed this very different episode. I feel like I want to go into it, and at the same time I don't, because I don't want to influence whatever impact or not that it had within you. But what I see this as is the layers that sometimes go into someone's life experience and the things that others may say about you or your life versus how your life and your experience actually is. I didn't go too into depth of any of the things that I touched on because I think that I wanted to show the duality, of like one saying versus what I experienced. And I wanted to reflect that back to you because I know that as first gens, oftentimes we experience gaslighting, being dismissed, kind of like this bypassing of our experiences because of course the experiences of some of our family members, they feel like they overshadow ours. But as you can see in my story, if you were able to empathize at all, if you were able to connect with it at all, then you likely have pieces of your story that similarly other people might not see, other people might dismiss, but that really impacted you. And so, as always, my message to you is to validate your experience of reality. Validate your emotions and the way that you see things and feel things. They are just as important as anyone else's version of their own reality. And it's important to see that there's sometimes this drastic difference between what someone might choose to keep in their mind as their truth and their truth of your experience versus what your experience and your truth might be. This is all tied to the topic that is kind of at the forefront of the Good Hijas, Hijos, Hijes Gone Badish community. This week, we are having a call together about speaking your truth. So if you don't know, I host an online community bi-weekly, and I choose a topic that's related to being a good hija, hijo, hije, or essentially being a first gen that is finally prioritizing being good to themselves and definitely speaking your truth and owning it and believing it is a big part of that, I feel. And the word speak, right? It means like saying out loud. And sometimes I think it's important for me to note that doesn't even mean like saying it to others, because sometimes we're seeking that validation from others, for others to be like, you're right, it did happen this way, I shouldn't be saying that. But that doesn't always happen for us, you know. Some people will stay living out and speaking their version of their truth and never changing it no matter what you say to them. But it's important that at least you validate it for yourself. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this mini-ish episode. And if anything, that you are reminded that your truth, your version of reality, your experiences are valid. And that only when you validate your own experiences can you heal from them. You can't heal from them if you run your truth by everyone else's and choose to only heal what is validated by others. Because then you're only healing fractions of your reality. If your inner self says this was scary and others say it shouldn't have been that scary, it was not that bad, then maybe you think, well, I don't need to heal from that if they're saying it's not that bad. No, if your inner self is saying it was bad, it was scary, there's something there. There's a part of you that needs you there. And that's kind of like inner child healing too, right? Like recollecting the inner child's version of the story. It's important for you to validate that for yourself, because only then can you heal. If you bypass it like others do, if you ignore it or belittle it, then you're not going to be able to get to all of the healing that is needed in those areas of your life. So let me know if this resonated with you, if you liked it, and if you are ready for community in this journey of prioritizing yourself and becoming your most authentic self, then I urge you to check out the Good Hijas, Hijos, Hijas Gone Badish online community. The link will be in the description for you to look at the details. But our next meeting is this Thursday evening at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I would love to see you there. Okay, pues First Gen, I hope that you are having a good day. Cuídate mucho, and remember that I love you, I love me, and I can't wait for you to love yourself. Bye!